Wham! Talk 1600. You're catching the drift. Conservative talk. Intelligent conversations on local, state, and national issues with Gary Wellings, chief editor of the Current newspaper and Current Online. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your host, Gary Wellings.
Hey, and good Saturday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to catch our drift. Joining me in studio, Ipsy Ed Bonderenka.
Welcome back.
Thank you, sir, for filling in for me last week. I'm starting to get used to having you and Alex be there when I just don't want to come in.
Hey, man, I think I'm doing a little bit better.
You're doing great.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, you guys are doing good. It takes a while, you know. It's not always comfortable sitting on this side and leading it through, but you get used to it after a while.
Well, it helps when you have a face made for radio. You know, it's just, voice helps too.
Yes, absolutely.
Voice helps too.
Well, we've got a lot to get through today, so we're going to try and run through it, but you're always welcome to call into the show, 734-822-1600, with your opinions on anything we talk about, or if there's something else you want to bring in.
Oh, there goes Joe right there.
Yeah, Beelzebub, whatever. What's that? Beetlejuice. Yeah. But before we get into things, let's take care of a little business. Cheryl Stockwell Academy in Brighton. If you're looking to get your kids into something other than public schools, Cheryl Stockwell Academy is a great place, preschool through high school. It's a good charter school, so you don't have to come out of your pocket for money. They do wear uniforms, which I think is good for discipline. And you can reach them at 810-225-9940. That's 810-225-9940. School starts soon. Call them up, figure out what you want to do, and if you don't want to send your kid to public school this year, try Cheryl Stockwell Academy. Yeah, it's a good one.
Step up.
Step it up, yeah. CSAdistrict.org. CSAdistrict.org is where you can find them on the internet. Okay, so if you want to email me instead of calling into the show, you certainly can, Gary@thedailydrift.com. And what we do every Saturday here on The Drift is go over the news that we put on thedailydrift.com. It's
the news you need to know.
Normally we do that right at the beginning. See, I'm off.
Yeah.
Right? I threw us both off on this one. So I want to start with this right off the bat because I think it's our obligation to let the people of Michigan, Southeast Michigan anyways, know just what your congressperson, Rashida Tlaib, is up to. Right. Well, not yours, but a lot of people in this listening area. And I'm mortified that, I say it on Twitter all the time, John Conyers is rolling over in his grave for this woman because she's doing absolutely nothing for the people of Michigan and Southeast Michigan and in the Detroit area, greater Detroit area. She is a wreck, a train wreck.
Rashida Tlaib, Democrat, Palestine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's who she's representing. People down in Detroit and in the suburbs of Detroit, you're not being served by Rashida Tlaib. She is not spending one iota on trying to find programs or funding or anything else that can help the people of Southeast Michigan. This is a complete waste of a congresswoman. She's doing nothing.
Well, the whole trick about, I can't go to Israel and visit my grandmother. Can I please, if I promise to behave? Okay, if you promise to behave, I'm not going. What? Oh, yeah, so much for your grandmother.
Playing politics through and through. Her and Omar
threw her grandma under the bus.
Yeah. Let's start right at the beginning here. So they wanted to go with their delegation. In their travel paperwork, they'd never said the word Israel. It was
Kevin
all Palestine.
McCarthy invited them to go, by the way. I heard on air where he invited them to go to join they're doing a tour of Israel. Yeah.
And I don't blame Israel at all. I think they made the right move because they have their own laws in place for people that are pushing BDS and other things that destroy. And BDS will basically economically destroy Israel.
Boycott, divest,
sanction
Israel.
And that's insane. It doesn't get any more anti-Semite than that. That's all this woman is. Detroit, Metro Detroit, you elected an anti-Semite. Mm-hmm. And all I can say is if you're Jewish at all and you voted for that woman, shame on you. Mm-hmm. Shame on you. Rashida Tlaib is just a complete mess for the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit and Metro Detroit. Terrible. So I want people to know, pay attention. Go to thedailydrift.com And there's all kinds of stories on there. You can see what she did. It's blatantly obvious that her and Omar are just anti-Semites. They wanted to go to Israel, and they wanted to go to Palestine and talk up BDS within the state of Israel. And the state of Israel said, "You're not coming here to do that."
Are you nuts?
Yeah. And then when she made the excuse, "Well, I can't see my grandma."
Oh, and Omar
they said, "All right, you can come see your grandma, but don't talk about BDS." Or
and they were being financed. They were being financed by a very anti-Semitic group whose name escapes me at the minute because I didn't think to write it down and bring it in. Didn't know it was a topic. But
yeah, absolutely. The whole thing was just a boondoggle. And you know what? This is typical for the Democratic Party. This is what people need to know in 2020. When you go to the polls in 14 months, you need to know that the Democrats you're voting for, like Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Nancy Pelosi, and whatever godforsaken Democratic presidential candidate comes out of this mess, they are not working for you, the American people. They are working for everybody else but you. They're working for immigrants, refugees, terrorist groups, you name it. Everybody's more important than the American citizen when it comes to the Democrats. That's what it comes down to. So if you got anything that you want to say about Rashida Tlaib, please feel free to call in. Now's your time to vent on this woman. 734-822-1600. What is it?
MIFTA, MIFTAH, an exceptionally anti-Semitic group that encourages Palestinian terrorists and claims Jews use the blood of Christians in the Jewish Passover. Yep, and they are the sponsors of Omar and Tlaib.
And you think my Epstein conspiracies are bad, right?
Next.
Yeah, well, let's step into Epstein, shall we? I'm off my soapbox. I've been irritated all week. I couldn't wait to get in here and just let loose on Rashida Tlaib. And I'm going to do it one more time. Don't vote for Rashida Tlaib.
Yeah.
Please, whatever you do. But let's start with Epstein, right? Until the last 24 hours, I had my conspiracy hat on. And I'm still disturbed by a lot of different things, but what is it? Occam's razor? The simplest explanation is normally what it is. And you do think Hillary did it?
That's the simplest explanation. Come on, look at this bunk bed. How tall is a bunk bed? I mean, hang yourself from a sheet. Supposedly they were paper sheets. We don't know, but hang yourself. Oh, I'm choking. I think I'll stand up.
So let's, Derek. We're gonna go from. We're going to go to track 2 down at the bottom, the second one down. That's Ricky Kleiman, who really kind of made it for me. She's got her own theory, not really conspiracy, but it's just a theory. Let's listen to track 2 there with Ricky Kleiman. She was on CBS News being interviewed.
Well, we certainly learned yesterday that his means of killing himself, assuming he did kill himself without help, was by hanging.
Cautious.
And that what he did was, once he had left Suicide Watch and got into a cell by himself, all, by the way, against the rules.
Right.
That he, who is a 6-foot-tall man, managed to take a sheet, attach it to the top bunk, and then kneel down, and that's how he hung himself. The details also that have come out that I find, frankly, very disturbing was the condition of how he was monitored at the MCC, which is the Metropolitan Correctional Center, on the SHU, as we call it, the Special Housing Unit, where the most high-profile, the most notorious criminals or people facing possible prosecution are housed. El Chapo was on that floor. Paul Manafort is still on that floor. And in fact, if I were Paul Manafort right now, I would not be very comfortable, because you have guards, one of whom was really not a correctional officer at that.
All right, so Paul Manafort's still there, right?
Is she afraid that he's going to commit suicide or that he'll be suicided? I
don't know.
I'm confused on that point.
So
6 foot tall. How tall is a bunk bed?
I'm assuming 5 something.
Foot. Okay, so that leaves us a foot leeway. And so what I'm imagining from the way I had it described, and here's the point. If Epstein did not have access to the internet while he was in prison, then how did he Google how to strangle himself, how to hang himself using a bed sheet and a bunk bed? Because I wouldn't know until I'd had it explained to me on the news how he did it, thrusting himself violently forward.
Right.
That takes practice. Have you ever practiced suicide? How many times you practice? You have to be an expert suicidist to do this. How do you become an expert suicidist?
If he were just strangled, right, and he just suffocated himself,
Then he just has to stand up.
then I would say, you know what, this guy had a lot of discipline to just simply kneel down and allow himself to be choked out, right?
Then shove something down your throat that you can't get back out.
Well, so let me say where I'm going with this. You would have to have some serious, when you talk about practice, this dude is a sexual deviant. Maybe he was a gasper. Maybe this isn't the first time he's choked himself out.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm just saying.
You're right. Okay.
So there is that possibility.
Yeah.
But the autopsy revealed broken bones. So he wasn't just choking himself out, just strangling to death, right? Just choking himself out. There were broken bones in there. So, as you said, was he violently throwing himself against that sheet?
I'd be afraid of bashing
break the bones? How would
I'd
the
be
sheet
afraid of
break the
bashing my
bones?
feet in my face in the concrete floor, hurting my face rather than choking my. Like the bed let go and I fell over. How embarrassing! Now the bunk bed's on top of me and
something still does not strike you. I know, Gary, you got your conspiracy hat on. The broken bones are throwing me for a little bit of a loop. That if you're going to choke himself out,
the
I could
screams.
see him,
How about the screams?
And the screams is the other part, right? So really, if you're willfully trying to choke yourself out, would you be screaming at yourself?
How come some people said they had paper sheets? Where'd that go?
Well, the paper sheets are only if you're still on suicide watch. Right?
Okay.
Let's backtrack real quick. We got Tom from Detroit wants to talk about Rashida Tlaib, and I'm going to let him vent if he wants to. Tom, welcome to the show.
His congresswoman.
Yeah, that's right. There wasn't even a Republican on the ticket that couldn't vote against her. But I did try to help Ron. I think it was Ron Gorman one year has passed. He ran against her, but everybody knew that a Republican wouldn't win. I worked in the polls there in Detroit, and it was over 90% Democrat in the primary. But I was thinking this is all I'm hearing now is about this ban, and I see Rashida Tlaib on, it looks like she's crying on the news and what have you. And I'm wondering if we should just start calling her Rashida Taliban. if that was the text.
Wait a minute. Do we have applause, Derek? Do we have applause?
So I don't think she's. I don't think she's in it, like you say, for the people of the 13th district.
Yeah, that's great. Well, she's just victimizing herself, thinking that's going to play. In Detroit, you're the ones that are being victimized. She is victimizing her constituents by spending all this time trying to go after Israel, go after Trump. You're not doing anything for the people that voted for you.
She's so bereft right now of not being able to see her grandmother. We ought to put her on suicide watch. We ought to put her in a cell with paper sheets and 24-hour guard, not let anybody approach her, because she sounds pretty despondent.
She's a congresswoman. Really? You can't pay for your granny to come over and visit? Really? I would think it would be easier. Your granny might want to see that you've made it in the world, that you got a nice house, and you live in the States.
The
blah,
granny
blah, blah.
she's never seen before. That's how important it was to the granny she's never seen before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What else you got, Tom?
Well, I was just going to say I don't think a Republican is going to be able to. What you want is the primary, the Democratic primary, and whoever wins that is basically going to take the 13th district.
Right.
A better class of Democrat.
You know what? There are tons of good Christian pastors in Detroit, whether they're Republican or Democrat or independent. I would like to see one good pastor out of Detroit run for that seat. Let's have a good Christian pastor. I don't care if you're a Democrat, run for it. You know, do something down there.
Great idea.
Because that woman is not serving the people of Detroit.
They have to run as a Democrat. They're just. I mean, I think I could run as a Democrat. I don't think I could get on the primary because of the money, but. Especially if I change my name to Mohammed or something like that, I think I might have a chance.
Hey, wait, you could write Nancy Pelosi's office, and I'm sure they'll find a source of funding for you to primary Tlaib. I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
something to think about.
Right. Well, there you go. So we put it out there for all you Democrats, if you're listening, you have options to run against Tlaib because Nancy Pelosi would love to get rid of the squad. I'm sure,
Yeah.
right? It's a thorn in her side. Okay. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate the call.
Thank you.
Have a
See you,
good one.
Tom.